made me feel like I was on the right track. He was just kind of like, just, you know, his whole theory was that the deeper the grief is the deeper the love that you have for that person. You know, and grief is just the absence of love and all the things that you miss and things like that. And so I was like, okay, yeah, I miss this person, okay, I think I'm on the right track. So I didn't necessarily think of it structurally in terms of that. I just tried to be as honest about how I felt about this person and how I was feeling at that time.
Well, I like the, like you were saying, the relationship between you and your dad. With, you know, because I remember there's one scene where you're crying and he and the mom are hearing you cry, and he said, you know, what is she crying like that for? Why is she reacting like that? You know, it wasn't like she was married to him. What is this about? You know, and the mom was like, it was her friend. You know, she cared about him, and he's dead. You know, and it was. I was sitting there, and I was like, wow. I mean, it was just everything about it was so genuine and so real that you're just sitting there like, I've been through that. I could imagine somebody going through that. It was. I gotta tell you guys, when I planned this panel, I am so glad that the three of you could come because, oh my God, I love your work so much. I respect you guys so much. With these beautiful black sisters and say, listen, y'all, this is what they did. Because everybody needs to know what y'all do. But let me go back to my question. When audiences came to the play, it was followed by talkbacks. Why was that necessary to help people to process what they had just seen?
Well, the theater made me do talkbacks, so that's that's sort of how that goes. But what I actually realize now, even after it's done, is like the next level of, especially that play. We had one night where we did talkback. I don't know which night you came, but there was one talkback where it was like the claps were like this. Right? I think I talked about that earlier, and I was like, ooh, okay, they hated it, okay, cool. And I also acted in the play. I was like, so we were just like, oh, okay, they weren't feeling us today, that's fine, you didn't crack any hearts open today. And, you know, and the cast didn't stay. And they were like, I gotta walk my dog, and I have to speak up for the play as the playwright. So like, let me sit down and listen to why these people hated my play, or whatever, right? But it was actually the opposite. It was like a lot of people who were kind of shell shocked because I think if the room is in, you know, if everyone's in the room that night, sometimes you can't. I remember after I saw Ruined, I couldn't move, or like Indecent, I couldn't move. So there were like 20 people that were just like, we couldn't even stand because we were just commiserating with what we had seen. And I felt like that sort of energy. And we had a talk back. And what I noticed, I actually, for better or worse, it triggered a lot of things for people. And so it's one of those things where it's like, oh, this play is about grief. And so obviously you're not just going to think about this person that's on the stage that's lost someone. You're going to think about the person that you've lost. And so I think that there's a part of the play that needs commiseration, that needs like a moment to commiserate with the person that they are missing, that this play makes them think of that person. Like I can't be there for all of them, but I feel like whenever you do good grief, hopefully if it does its job, they should have a moment for everything. You know what I mean? There should be a moment where people who want to stay can stay and commiserate and have time with that person that they miss in a beautiful or sad or whatever way that you need. But I think we added talkbacks after that because we did because I just felt like it was people just couldn't leave. You know, and it was one of those things where it's like you want to hold space for whatever that is.
No, I agree because I know that when I saw it and they were doing the talk back, I was just so overwhelmed. I couldn't stand to clap. I could just sit in my seat and I couldn't speak. I couldn't go, yay, because I was so choked up. And what it made me think of was my dad. So I was just sitting there like, and then when they said talk backs, I like ran out because I was like, no, I don't want to, suddenly get up when people are back because I can't take anymore. I need to go and I need to just, think about this on my train ride home kind of thing. And but no, it was really heavy. All right, so my next question is, what are the challenges that all of you face as Black female playwrights?
To be called a Black female playwright, opposed to being a playwright.
Oh, okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because I mean, there's the expectation to just simply write about, you know, I was talking to guys outside about this. It's a given I'm black, it's a given I'm female, it's a given I'm proud of both of those things. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But don't put limitations on it. And that's what I meant, you know, earlier on. It's like, you know, when I came in, it's like, you know, it's like one of my heroes, I mean, is Grace Jones.
Yes.
Grace Jones,
it's you can't put that woman in any category. I don't like boxes. I mean, I might, you know, I've written an Irish play. I've written plays about black people. I've written plays, you know, whatever it is. It's like when you were talking about talkbacks, for instance, and I'm glad I did this. There was a play I read called Black and Blue Boys, Broken Men, and it was written about all men that were abused. And it was when I played. It's written where it could be multi-character, single character, anybody of any race and or gender can do it. Because we don't think of men as being abused, we think of them as being abusers. And we've not created this space for men. So again, I wanted to look at that, and I've also known men who have been abused, because I love dark work as well. And so that opened it up where people could talk about things, and I really like that. And I like the fact that, you know, I wanted to write it. I mean, because again, the subject matter is something I think, you know, we can look at, and it's something we need to look at, you know. And again, like talking to, not for, it really interested me, you know, because I'm interested in, you know, damn near everything. So I wanted to do that. And other things, there's so many things I want to write. I want to write a novel as well, you know. So that's what I mean in terms of that black female playwright. It's a given I'm black and female, proud of those things, but when you talk about, say, like, you know, Arthur Miller, you don't say white male playwright, you say playwright.
Yeah, you're right.
I think for myself, and it's amazing to be on this panel because I think we're all in different stages here, right? In our career, right? I think I'm more so I'm in my baby phase in regards to my journey as a writer, and so in regards to challenges, and I thought about this, right? Because one, I've made a decision that I'm always going to be true to how the world's come to me. I'm always going to be true to releasing whatever is inside of me without watering it down for the idea of any institution or the idea of anyone in the audience, right? I'm going to let these worlds live however it comes to me, and how it normally comes to me, what is natural, but I believe it's something that's probably God-given, is normally very dark, very visual, very, very, very raw, very from an emotional place of either rage and the journey to find healing for oneself in a black community for themselves, right? And it's also in regards to writing, I'm very much, I have made the decision that I am fine with curating pieces that I feel is an homage to my ancestors, right? And with that, I've also made a conscious decision to, one, not put white bodies in my plays, not as a means of not having a white body there, but as a means of allowing my characters to heal themselves for themselves outside the gaze of whiteness. Which for me in America, as a woman of the South, as a Southern woman from Texas and with Louisiana roots, which has very much been embedded into my core of who I am, right? So one, I've made those conscious decisions to not, to make that so for my work. So I guess the challenges that I was grappling with recently, after having my premiere, was like, oh, there are going to be some institutions who are not going to do my work, who are going to be very much afraid to do my work because of just the makeup of what theater right now, especially in New York, which is mostly composed of older white people, right? So I came with the idea that I only want institutions or people to come into my life or my circles who wants to be an advocate for their work, because I refuse to water down what comes to me naturally. So I've already grappled with it. I might not have some type of commercial success in that realm, because it's just the type of work that I curate, that I know is going to be hard for some institutions to take a chance to do that. Speaking of talkbacks in my journey, I've been very lucky, like being in my phase, to be taken under by 2 historical black institutions, right? Which I think was very needed at the beginning phase of my career. The Congo Square Theater in Chicago and the Village Holiday Theater in New York. So not only was I put in a space to curate my work in these spaces that looms so much ancestrally, but also I was able to be taken care of as a playwright, right? In these spaces. I didn't feel like I had to make some type of adjustment, because I would know, because the audience I was writing for was my audience. And so which has been an amazing thing so far. So as I continue, I know I'm probably going to be forced to those challenges, but I think I've already made I know I've already made the decision to stay true to what's pure. You know. So, you shall see.
I'm gonna keep it mad real. I think the only thing at this point is I'm the only person in my way. At this point, you know, you get to a certain point where stuff is good, and quite frankly, it's the challenges of yourself. It's the jealousy, it's the ambition, it's the wanting to be a commercial success, but then what does that mean for your play? Watering it down, making it universal, saying yes to certain projects, having to constantly reassess what it is that I believe in at this moment. You know, my duty to Black people, to my work, but also my duty to myself and the work that I want to create that may or may not upset my people. You know what I'm saying? And so I feel like my challenges are my own. It's my constant need. It's my constant assessing of what it is that I am trying to do with this specific play, this specific television show, this specific work that I'm trying to make, who it is that I want to make it with, and what does that mean when I make this piece for these people, like each piece. And what does it mean when I create this process where I am someone who I demand for my world premieres to be directed by Black people. Not because I believe that only Black people can direct my work. That is what we've seen now. White people can direct everything, so you see that they can direct everything, right? Or, you know, but the issue is that there's not enough Black leadership, in my opinion. And so if they ask me, and as a playwright, you have the most power to name your directors, not more than any other form. And so, you know, and sometimes that holds me from getting into a bigger or larger institution, right? And so, you know, which can be really frustrating, which can make you stop the work, period. And make you go, oh, well, I'm not gonna succeed or I'm not gonna do well unless I give in this way. And it's not true. So when I say like myself, I'm the biggest challenge, it's talking to myself and having to reassert that these things that are very, you know, white supremacy in white institutions, in the not-for-profit theater and commercial Broadway theater are completely like, yes, right? It's real as hell. You know what I'm saying? Like, are there any Black directors on Broadway right now? No. There's like Ken Leon, I think he has American Son, right? I think that's it, right? George is not up there right now, right? So that's a very, I'm not gonna say that that's not a very real thing, but I also am a big believer that like if, it doesn't mean I then now need to go ahead and change what I want the director to look like so that I can be on Broadway, if that makes sense. If it's not what I want to do. And so I really feel like I am my greatest challenge and my beliefs are my greatest challenge and me sticking to my beliefs are my greatest challenge.
Well, this question is kind of saying the same thing again, because it's talking about boundaries that are imposed. Do you feel that there are boundaries that are imposed? So do you think that what you just said would relate to that kind of a question, to say if there are boundaries that you guys have on you as writers?
I think if we're not, like kind of like Ngozi said, if we're not physically already approaching those boundaries, it's the idea of knowing that those boundaries are there, right? It's like how Dael spoke of why can I just see seen as a playwright. We already know sometimes we're going into these spaces and institutions, we're already put in a category of a Black writer or a Black. So, and going into this industry, you have to be aware of what the blockages are in order for you to maneuver and create space to go around it, right? Or to come to grips with, is this something that I want to do? Because you're going to be approached with that, right? So being as well informed with it as possible. So like how I stated that, for some reason, how my stuff come to me, like I already know, like there's going to be, I could or I might not have as much commercial success, and I am okay with that. Because I don't want to.
But you might.
But I might. I could, or I might. God has been showing out. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I could, or I might.
Yeah.
But I had to come with the understanding that that is a possibility.
Yeah.
Because if I go to write down, start writing a piece with the idea of already, okay, is this gonna be produced? Is somebody gonna do it? I already started the whole process from an unpure place, right? It's not gonna do what it needs to do. So I think that's the biggest thing. Like we know, even if it's not in our face, the idea of knowing that it's there in itself is something that's, I say, unfair, or something that's just we gotta deal with, you know.
And there's also, not to mention the fact, one thing we didn't really talk about also is the sexism that's also involved. Because there's the double whammy of sex and race with people. Why would, because again, I want to work with, obviously, all kinds of directors. I want to work with Black directors. I want competent people. But again, having said that, something that you were saying is that people already have their directors for me, and it's just like, no, this is not going to work. You come to me, you talk to me like a grown person. I'm in your institution, but I'm not part of your institution like that. You don't come to me with that. So sometimes when people feel this need to, they think that they have to infantilize, because they're dangling some money in front of guys. It's like there's money that I need, but also by the same token, you can kiss it, So sometimes when people feel they can make, or this script, what you've written here is not kind to women, or it's not kind to, it's not supposed to be kind. I've written a very rough character. This character speaks this way. Sometimes I think if I were a guy, you would not come to me and say that this is appropriate. So it's like, so in terms of writing about people sexually and stuff, like, and people, well, this woman is not kind. Guess what? There are unkind women in the world. So this is what I'm saying. So a lot of times I get a lot of that stuff as well. Or the automatic assumption is if I've written a Black character that person is going to be, and I had this argument with somebody recently. Well, can a character do hip hop? Why does a character have to do hip hop because this person is Black? People, we don't go around singing and dancing all the time. So it's that kind of thing really gets on my nerves. That kind of stuff, yeah. So sometimes I get a little of that stuff.
So what do you guys feel are the most important elements when you're putting together a play?
Beginning, middle, end, story, conflict, resolution.
How would you advise other Black female playwrights to go about getting their thoughts on paper and getting their work out there?
I advise anyone. At the end of the day, it's just a matter of, like I was talking to Ngozi, just doing the work, right? Anyone, if you have an idea or thought, if something doesn't leave you, there's a reason why it's with you. You sit down and put it on paper and try to forget all the ideas of the how. Do the what? What is inside of you? What do you want to write about? Do that, and if you do it from a pure place, and if you do something that and it's good, it's gonna find its audience, right? So be an advocate for your work, for your voice. I know what I did, like not having representation or anything, and just as an actor going into writing. I have already taught myself how to be an advocate for my work, because it's something if it's something that affects me, I know it's going to affect somebody else, right? Because I'm human, right? So just writing and then reaching out to institutions that you think that what I did, I reached out to institutions that I thought would cater to my voice. So I was very strategic in that. And also, I would leave just with the note that there's not one way to do this thing, right? Everybody's journey is their own. Like I was telling Ngozi earlier, I sit back and I think about how my journey has been so far in the last 3 years. I couldn't write it, I had a play that was produced very early on, my very first, that I never even workshopped. So I've been thrusted on this journey, and I'm learning as I go along. So yeah, all you can do is do the work, and everything else is gonna come as supposed to.
I think put it down. Don't censor yourself. Put it all down. Don't worry about it being perfect. There's no such thing.
Right.
There's just no such thing.
Rewriting.
You know, find some people that you trust, that that you can share the work with. Know that your audience can look like anywhere from your mama and your auntie to a big ass theater, right? So don't worry about the results. Just worry about the story, and then share that story with as many people as possible that will let you. And that can look like a theater, but that can also look like you getting a rehearsal room and your friends and eating and drinking and a book club.
Right.
But it's your book.
Yeah.
And it's hard, it's hard not to censor yourself. Like when you're, for those of you who are writers, for those of us who are writers, like, I'll sit down and go, oh my God, this is so stupid. But you know what? It's one of my favorite poets. You know, like, when people talk about writing and stuff. Why did you write this, or how did you write this? Her response was, I have the right to invade my own privacy. And the person who wrote that was Anne Sexton.
Good one, right? Write that down too.
Now, let me ask you guys something else. In terms of, you said about being actresses before being writers. Right. So, when a person, you're not just a playwright, you've already done the acting. In your case, you also do the writing and the acting, and you're in the show. So, there's this, okay. Oh, yes, okay, cool. So, the thing for me, you're going to approach it in a different way, because you know what the actors need from the script. So as a playwright, how do your other actors relate to you, knowing that you know what they need and what you're going through yourself as the playwright, watching them perform your works? You've got to come to it from a different place than
Yeah, like acting in a play that with your fellow. It's
Right.
it's actually hard for me. Because I think, writers are also control freaks. So for me, it's actually like pulling back a little bit as a writer. I have to workshop a little bit. I sometimes will hire an actress as a proxy so that I can really write and ferociously write. But as far as once we get into scene work with my actors, I have to pull back a bit and let the actors be actors. Because they're going to come into this space really nervous, because they're like, oh, well, she knows exactly how I'm supposed to say this, and she's going to make a face if I do it wrong, and if I say this line wrong in front of her, they're like, goes, you make that face whenever I say that line wrong. I do, and I'm like, I don't need to.
In your case, because the language is so precise.
Yeah, and it's so,
you have, one word can, especially with your writing, one word can alter.
So I'll make a little twitch, and the director will take care of it,